And we are live. Hello, everybody. Happy October.
Hello, Podfeed. How are you doing? What is that?
Why are you laughing?
The GIF that Alan put in there. Is that like the fall of the empire? I'm trying to figure out what that is.
What that is. That's disgusting. All right. Well, Alan, do you want to give us the shout out?
We need the go codes. Come on, Alan.
Do it. Go, Evan. Go, Alan. All right. If you're not going to do it, there we go. Roll call.
All right.
What are you doing? You're making so much noise.
No, sorry. It was just the desk. It was the desk making noise.
You are completely unaware of sound.
You're in, by the way, you're in wide view.
Oh,
sure why.
Now you're going to tell me?
Well, I just noticed things I've never seen in your room.
I'm in standard view, not widescreen, and then I'm supposed to be plus up like
Frank.
this.
Frank made it.
All right, it's time for a roll call. We got Alan and Kevin and Jason and Frank and Ed and John and Mike and Rick and Sandy and Michael and Frank again and Rose and John in the sidebar. Did I miss anybody? Who else is here? Frank Plus.
Frank Plus.
Oh, your mic just started crackling.
Mine did? Is it still crackling?
Yes. Anybody else hearing
Discord,
that?
Are you hearing a crackly mic?
There, it just seemed to stop.
Okay.
Okay.
Are you listening to me on Mimo or Discord?
I'm listening to you on Mimo.
Okay.
So, yeah, because I can't mute you on Discord. It just says, there's a problem. Ed, Tobias, you need to listen to Chit Chat Across the Pond, Programming by Stealth. Make sure you listen to episode 700 of Chit Chat Across the Pond or 126 of Programming by Stealth. You need to listen right away because big stuff happening, big stuff. But we'll be talking about that here. All right. I think I want to just get started, Steve. Do you have any objections to that?
I think I'm ready.
All right. That means I can mute him finally. Muting. Now you can make all the noise you want, bother everybody else. All right, here we go. Hi, this is Allison Sheridan of the NosillaCast podcast, hosted at podfeed.com, a technology podcast with an ever so slight Apple bias. Today is Sunday, October 3rd, 2021, and this is show number 856. Well, before I tell you about the most recent episode of Programming by Stealth, I want to just take a moment to celebrate the fact that I have produced 700 episodes of Chit Chat Across the Pond. That's a lot. In some ways, that show is a bit harder than the NosillaCast because it means convincing someone to come on the air with me and coordinating schedules with someone else. Of course, the vast majority of those episodes have been with my very dear friend Bart, which is why he's my very dear friend. Okay, enough celebrating. Let's talk about the next episode. Okay, and now I'm going to do a chapter mark. Whoops, hang on. Nope, got it all confused. Can't save and chapter mark at the same time. Now everything's going to be all messed up. And see, yep, save. Okay, come back over here. See if I took enough time. There we go. Copy link. I don't know what that delay is. It seems to work just fine, though. Okay. And now, Chit Chat Across the Pond. And for this very special episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond, we take Programming by Stealth into what Bart is calling Phase 2. We've learned a great deal about the client side of programming, and now we're going to move into the server side of the web. As Bart described it, I have a feeling I'm going to be stumbling a lot. For some reason, I'm having trouble thinking. Let's see. As Bart described Phase 2 in this episode, I realized that it's as though we finished our undergraduate work in computer science and we're entering graduate school. That observation is not based on the concepts being harder necessarily, but rather because we're going to work as a collective in helping our professor on a project that's near and dear to his heart. Bart created the fabulous web-based password creation tool at xkpasswd.net many years ago. In fact, so long ago that it's on a very creaky set of tools that have been deprecated, and the entire service will die if he doesn't move it into modern tools. This is going to be a great excuse for us to learn how to work on the new tools, as Bart is forced to learn them, and at the same time, we will be enlisted to help him with the development of the new and improved XKPassWD. I was really excited as I listened to Bart lay out the future of the next 100 or so episodes and everything we're going to learn. Whether you've been working alongside the rest of the listeners since Programming by Stealth 1 of X, or whether you're a seasoned programmer who'd like to learn the new tools like Bootstrap 5 and PHP 8, I think you'll have great fun with the next phase of Programming by Stealth. You can listen to this episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond in your podcatcher of choice, either under CCATP or under Programming by Stealth. And of course, there's a link in the show notes directly to this episode of Chit Chat Across the Pond. A little stumbly there, but I got it. I think I'll enjoy doing assignments in Elixir. What's that? It's gonna be fun. I lost Steve's attention. Steve's off doing something else now.
I'm here. Full
Yay,
attention.
700. Everybody excited about 700? Oh, 700 5-star reviews. Alan is. That's a lot.
Are you hearing me?
Across the pond is exhausting. Yes?
Okay.
Why?
I just wanted to make sure. I said a few things, but I just wanted to make sure you could still hear. 700.
It's a lot.
Virginia beverage. Well, the Virginia beverage is gone.
Yep.
Consumed.
That was tasty stuff. I still think we should have put it on ice cream. All right. Oh, that's not the right. I don't like that order. I'll do it this way. I will do it. Never mind. I'll keep the order. It's not the order I meant to do it in.
All right.
Drizzly deliver some more. That's a good idea. All right. Oh, Steve's self-muted. That's impressive. Here we go. When Lori Gill was on Chit Chat Across the Pond after Apple announcements, she always said that she loved the new operating systems even more than the new gadgets because they make the old devices feel new. This year, you get to play with iOS 15 whether you have a new iPhone or not. iOS 15 works on iPhones as far back as the 6S. Now, it's a little harder to figure out the oldest iPad on which iPadOS 15 works, but it definitely works on the iPad Air 2, the first-gen 12.9-inch iPad Pro, and the iPad Mini 4. There's a few things in iOS 15 that absolutely delight me, and I wanted to chat a bit about them. If you don't hear your favorite feature mentioned, drop me a line and tell me about it. If you can't get some features to work that I describe, be sure to check the feature availability page at apple.com to see if this feature is available in your country. The feature I'm probably using more than anything else in iOS 15 is live text. I must have used this feature at least 20 times so far. Live text is the feature that allows you to use the iPhone's camera to capture real text. Now, Sandy kicked off a fun conversation in our Slack community where we all started sharing the different ways we have discovered to implement live text. Sandy took a photo of a tracking number, and when she tapped on the text in the image, she was given the option to copy it as text. She was then able to paste it directly into her app, Deliveries, in order to track that package. Now, I discovered another method to do kind of the same thing. If you open up an app where you can type text such as Apple Notes, if you tap and hold on the text input area, one of the pop-up options is a little box with lines inside of it, and that's the symbol for live text. If you tap that little box icon, it will launch the camera in the bottom half of the screen. Point the camera at the text you want to capture, and that text is going to get a little yellow bracket around the text that it finds. Tap the shutter button, and it copies the text and pastes it directly into your notes field, so you never have to take an actual photo. I've been using it like this, and I've been loving it. I had some x-rays taken by our vet of Tesla's shoulder recently, and I wanted to download them as images. I needed to come up with unique names to save these images, and I thought, it would be brilliant to set the name of the file to the description the technician had put on the x-ray, such as L humerus lat left. Now, that doesn't mean anything to me, but when I need to show it to somebody, it probably would. Rather than laboriously transcribing that into the Save As window, I simply pointed my phone's camera at the image that was on screen on my Mac. So I've got the image on my Mac, but I want to save it with this name. So I'm using my iPhone to look at that image with my iPhone, and I tap the same little yellow box icon to capture that live text, and I selected copy. Now, remember, we've got continuity on the Mac and iOS, so now that the copy buffer on my phone has the name that I'm looking for, that means my Mac has it too, so I was able to simply use Command-V on the Mac to paste that name into the Save As dialog box. I made that sound really complicated, as I often do, but all I did was point the iPhone's camera, tap twice, Command-V on the Mac, and I was done. Way more faster and way more accurate than actually typing. Now, my method works for some things, but in a lot of cases, I think Sandy's method might be even better. Several times I've needed things like a tiny serial number on a package, but it's so close to some other text that my method can't isolate just the piece that I want. With Sandy's method of actually taking a photo, you can zoom in and use your fingers to capture just the text that you want. Lewis, in the same Slack conversation, said that he's used live text to capture the tracking number from the label for a package he's about to ship. He points the camera at the tracking number, taps the live text button, taps the number to be scanned, and he said that track shipment is one of the options right there. As he says, it's freaking magic. Now, I haven't been out of the country in a coon's age, but according to Apple's support page about live text, you can take a photo with a language that's foreign to you, select the text in the photo, and ask it to translate for you. Talk about freaking magic. Lastly, not quite as magical, but still really cool, is that you can look up the meaning of words in your photos as well. And my second favorite feature in iOS 15 is called Visual Lookup. I stumbled across this one all on my own, and it's really cool. I was on one of my long walks for exercise, and I wanted to play with the new macro capability on the iPhone 13 Pro. I took a super close-up photo of this weird little succulent leaf. You know how at the bottom of the screen in Photos on iOS, you have 4 icons, a share button, a heart, an eye for get info, and a trash can? Well, this little leaf had one of those eye buttons, but it also had 2 stars next to the eye. Well, I had no choice. I had to tap on that icon and see what it was. When I tapped it, that's called the visual lookup icon, the image slid up and exposed the EXIF info about the location of the photo, the detail about the camera, and the lens with which it was taken. The plant in my photo suddenly had a little leaf icon on it, and below the image, it showed the same leaf, and it said, "Look up plant." Again, what else could I do but tap that? It replaced the bottom half of my screen with the results of Siri knowledge, telling me that this little plant I've been seeing all my life is called a Portulacaria, or elephant bush. How cool is that? Well, my next order of business, completely forgetting about getting any more exercise, was to start flipping through my older photos taken well before iOS 15 to see if any other images had the eye with the stars next to it so I could do more visual lookup. I came across a photo of my son Kyle's lovely dog Charlie with the visual lookup icon. When I tapped the icon, this time the pooch had a paw print icon on her nose, and it said visual lookup dog. Following that link correctly identified her as a Labrador Retriever. I read up on visual lookup and saw that it can also identify popular landmarks. I searched my photos for Paris, and I found a photo I took from a high tower looking down at the city, and in the center was a structure with a large gold dome roof. Now, I'm great about sorting my photos into little albums and putting dates and such on them, but I'm terrible at remembering the names of landmarks. No worries, Apple Photos to the rescue with visual lookup. The photo had a lovely eye with the stars, indicating visual lookup was available, and when tapped, the dome had a little map symbol on it. I tapped the visual lookup button, and I was delighted to be reminded that the building was called Invalides. It offered a Wikipedia link, and I tapped it, hoping to remember why it had that name. But the little pop-up only gave me the briefest of information, like the name of the architect and the height. I expected to be able to go all the way into the Wikipedia article, but I could not. Because of that limitation, I'm going to have to rely on my memory of our friend Suzanne saying it was a hospital around the time that Napoleon was tramping about. Now, I should mention that Visual Lookup isn't using any kind of geotagging for this trick. I know that because the photo of Invalides was taken with a big girl camera which lacked geotagging. The little icons for Visual Lookup suggest that prominent landscape could also be identified. So I looked for the Visual Lookup icon on a few photos of the iconic Grand Tetons mountain range and a classic photo I took of Machu Picchu, and I never got the little eye with the stars. It's possible I'm misinterpreting the icon and that landscapes aren't identified, but it was worth a shot. I think Visual Lookup is really nifty and I'm going to be using it a lot. I'll look things up and then about 8 minutes later completely forget what kind of plant that was and what that building or monument was. Speaking of geotagging, you can finally do just that with Apple Photos on iOS. If you tap the little eye, with or without stars, you'll see a pop-up on iPad or a slide-up on the iPhone. One of the options is to add a location. Now, I expected to get a map view that I could pinch and zoom around on, but instead you get a blank screen and a text field to enter new location. You can type in the name of a city or the name of a landmark to set the location. Once you've done that, you'll see your image in a map view, but even then you can't adjust the location by dragging the photo around. You can only add a new location in that text field. It's a nice first step in geotagging, but I don't think you'll be dumping Huda anytime soon if you're into geotagging. Not only can you add the location for your photos in iOS 15, but you can also adjust the date they were taken. With modern phones and some modern big girl cameras, the date and time is recorded so you would never need to adjust them. But if your big girl camera doesn't know the date and time, this could be great for making sure your photos reflect the correct date. Now, the reason I need this feature is that Steve is scanning in all of our family photos from the days before digital photography, and all of the dates show as the date he scanned them in. With Apple Photos and iOS 15, I could set the correct dates. Now, I say I could do that, but you know what? I probably won't use Apple Photos with a massive number of photos to change. Unfortunately, with Apple Photos, you have to select each image one at a time, tap Get Info, tap Adjust, and then change the date and time. Geotagging is one photo at a time as well. With the wonderful app Hash Photos for iOS, you can select a whole group of photos and change their dates and locations all in one fell swoop. If you'd like to check out Hash Photos, I wrote it up quite a while ago, and it's just as great as I said it was back then. I'm going to stop and take a break. Getting tired. What have I missed, Steve? Is Steve still with us? There
I'm
you are.
still with you. I was just putting in
working.
some links.
I miss anything?
Not too much. There was a nice planter that Kevin had here.
Napoleon's tomb is in the Invalides. That's what I thought, but I couldn't find that out online. I got too tired.
Is or is not?
Is.
okay.
Sandy says it is. I thought it was. Oh, a toilet planter. That's nice.
A full one.
I was kind of proud of myself for figuring that out.
Didn't we see that tomb? Thought we did.
Yes.
In the center of
Yes.
that large rotunda circle thing.
Yeah, I looked at a picture from the inside of Invalides, inside of his tomb, and it was like, no, I don't know what that is. So it's a spectacular tomb. Yeah, it was very cool in there. But
yeah,
like I said, it didn't recognize the tomb. All right, should keep going. Back to work. Now, I'm not a normal person when it comes to photos. Most people know no, that's not what I was supposed to say. I'm not a normal person when it comes to photos. Most people I know rely completely on Apple Photos or Google Photos to help them find images in their libraries. Unlike those anarchists, I organize a great deal of my photos into albums and date-labeled folders, and I also name a lot of my images. I will admit that now that I take, 637 photos every day I'm with my grandchildren, that whole naming thing has fallen a little bit by the wayside, but for major trips and events, I'm still pretty good about doing it. I simply love being able to type something like bat into search, and Apple Photos finds the photo of my brother Grant wearing the massive wood structure bat costume my father made for him in 1962. That kind of bat isn't easily recognized by algorithms, but since I name my photos, I can get to it quickly with search. Naming images in Apple Photos on the Mac is really hard. If you work in the grid view, you can enable the title field in the metadata and then just tap in there and type the title. But you can't hit tab to go to the next image and type again. You have to take your hands off the keyboard and you have to tap on the next image to select that field and then type again. That doesn't sound hard, but it's time consuming when it could be so much more efficient. If you work in the individual photo view, it's somewhat worse. To entitle an image, you work in the Get Info window. That means clicking in the title field in Get Info, typing in your title, then clicking back on the image, and then you can use the arrow keys or the trackpad to swipe the next image. Then you have to click back in the Get Info window and type the next one. This isn't hard if you're doing a handful of photos, but to entitle the photos from our week-long trip to Paris with Dean and Suzanne, it's very tedious. If it's tedious, that friction can be enough to stop me from ever doing it. The other thing about naming photos on the Mac is that I've got this weird bug where as I'm typing into the title field, it'll type part of what I've written, and then suddenly everything I've typed disappears and the capture name of the file comes back into the field. I can try again, and it usually fails a second time, but by the third or fourth try, it's going to stick. So yeah, tedious doesn't begin to describe my feelings about that. The reason I bring this all up is that I've always wanted to be able to name my photos using the iPad, but the title field isn't an option in Photos. In iOS 14, Apple added a caption field when you swipe up on an image in Photos on iPhone or iPad. Now, when this first came out, I tested the option and it worked great. But when I went back to Photos on my Mac, searching by what I'd typed in on captions on iOS did not show up on the iPad. Did not show up on the Mac. I was sad about that. There's a remote chance I just did it wrong in my original testing, but I can say for sure with iOS 15, captions added via my iPhone and iPad do indeed carry over to the Mac version of Photos, and they are searchable. I am unbelievably happy about this. In macOS Photos, if I search for a word or words, Photos gives me the results in sections by where it found it. For example, I searched for the word hand after entering Forbes hand as a caption on a photo of my grandson. The search results for hand showed up under Albums, Categories, Captions, Titles, Places, and File Name. And right there in the caption section was my photo of Forbes putting his hand on his face. I have to mention that in Categories, it found 251 photos it considered to be handwriting, 59 it thought had a handbag in it, and 7 photos it thought was of a handgun. I'm not a gun person, so I had to go back and look at that category. It decided that 2 circuit boards, 1 wine bottle, a pair of vacuum attachments, a Ring camera installation guide, and a waterproof pouch were all guns. The one actual gun was in a photo from Kevin Alder when he was holding my childhood horse Mipples hostage until I bought Steve a 27-inch iMac back in 2012. But that's a whole other story. But back to the point. I can now use captions entered on the iPad whilst leaning back on the couch watching TV to identify my photos for future searches on my Mac, and I am super happy about that. Now, if you use an iPad, you've probably accidentally triggered slide over and split screen at one time or another. You may even have tried to use them intentionally. You may even have succeeded at using them once in a while. But no matter how much practice you put into using them, they evade you pretty often. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, let me elaborate a little bit. In iOS 9, Apple introduced multitasking for iPad, and as far as I know, they haven't made a single improvement to it since then. Split screen allows you to view 2 apps side by side, split either 50-50, or you could drag a little slider, make it 25-75 or 75-25. Now, slide over is a little bit different. It lets you temporarily slide in an app from the side of the screen that floats over the app you're working on. If you want to go really wild, you can have 2 apps in split screen and a third in slide over. You can also have the same app in split screen with itself if the app supports 2 windows. Both of these features are really cool, but they've been traditionally very annoying to invoke. With iOS 15, they haven't made it perfect, but I think it's far easier to invoke reliably and predictably, and they've also made it much more discoverable. Any app that supports multitasking will now have a 3-dot icon at the top of the screen. When you tap the icon, it changes to show 3 graphical representations of your options. First is a solid black full screen button, which you can select to get out of split screen. Second is an icon that's black on the left half and white on the right half. If you select this, your current app will slide mostly out of view to the left, revealing your home screen and dock, where you can select another app to split to the right. Now, being very specific to point out that the black part of the icon is your currently open app, because that becomes really three three fumbles. Now, being very specific. Okay, thank you for the save reminder. Now, I'm being very specific to point out that the black part of the icon is your currently open app, because that becomes really important in the last option. The last option is a mostly white box with a small sliver of black box on the right. If you tap this one, you'll see the name. Gosh, can't go 2 seconds without messing up tonight. Small sliver of black box on the right. If you tap this icon, you'll see the same action of the current app sliding out of the way and revealing the desktop, except this time your current app slides off to the right. That's because the current app is the one that's going to become the slide over app. So then you select a second app from your desktop or dock, and you'll see that one full screen with the original app floating to the right. Now, this might sound complicated, but it's visually pretty obvious. And the most important thing is that it is predictable. In the old way, you had to kind of swipe up on the second app and make sure not to pull it too far to the right if you wanted slide over, or hit that sweet spot to the right where it would go split screen. I used it all the time, and I would say my success rate was around 43%. Now, my one beef with the new method is I think it's very rare that I'd be using an app and I want that app to be the slide over app. A much more typical scenario for me is that I'm typing away in Ulysses or Mail, and then I get a notification from a text app like Telegram. I want to stay in my current app, and I want to bring Telegram in as the slide over app temporarily to answer the person and then throw it back off screen. I literally never think of doing it in the opposite direction, but that's the default with the new icons in iOS 15. Now, the good news is that the old method of invoking slide over still works, if you can count on the old method as a workable way to use it. Now, there's another cool thing about this new multitasking method. An accessible... Okay. I clearly didn't finish editing this. One moment. I got to do it eventually. I might as well fix it. Okay, now I lost my window. Where am I? iOS 15. There we go. I started inserting a thing about accessibility. Another cool thing about this accessibility is that it is much more accessible. There. I think that'll work. Let's preview that. Now there's another. There. Save. Now there's another cool thing about this new Jeez, come on now. Now there's another cool thing about this new multitask. One more time. Now, there's another cool thing about this new multitasking method that is much... Drink. Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Ed. Maybe it's because it's water and I'm used to it being wine. Maybe I'll reword it. Here's another cool thing about this new multitasking method. It's much more accessible. Now, while it was certainly technically possible to do the gestures without being able to see, having a dedicated and yet tiny and unobtrusive button to invoke multitasking with VoiceOver is fantastic. After you select the option you want, such as split view, which of course VoiceOver reads out loud, and when the current app slides to the left, as you move your finger around on the desktop, VoiceOver says, add maps to split view with Safari. It is awesome. Works really, really well. Now, I know we were all hoping for true multitasking on the ever more powerful iPads, but at least the new method of multitasking is less aggravating than the old method, and you might actually notice that it's an option for you. The bottom line is that iOS 15 has a lot of slick features that delight me, and I think it's a nice little upgrade. My list was certainly not exhaustive, but these things have given me a lot of joy in the short time I've been using the new operating system. There are enhancements, if there are... Like I said early on in talking about this, if there are enhancements in iOS 15 that surprise and delight you, please let me know what they are. You know what? I am struggling enough. I may not read my second article.
You want me to read it?
Sure.
So
I'm sure everybody does.
I was surprised how many of those images were identified by Apple Photos as a gun. Do you go into the photo and say, no, this isn't a gun, and then it starts teaching an AI algorithm, or is it?
What do you do?
I don't use that feature.
Type any search term in, Steve. Do you ever search your photos?
I guess I have.
Never search your photos.
Can you go in
Never.
and say,
Do it.
no, this is...
Do it. You can't do this.
I'm trying to produce a show.
That was exactly the words I was going to use.
I thought you had already had experience with this. May have done it before, so I wouldn't have to do it. Gun.
Sandy, this is my life all day. You have the tools right there in front of you to test.
I know,
what you're
but sometimes people have the tools and don't use them. I thought you may have already used them in such a manner that I could glean knowledge from what you've done. Apparently not. We'll just let this go.
Yeah, let's. All right, so this is going to be a chapter mark for Tom-matic, but there's no... Yeah, how do you do... I don't remember how to do chapter marks. Was it Command-Shift-M?
You smash all the keys down.
No, but I don't have a... Command-Enter? Nope. Command-Shift-Enter. There it is. I don't remember how to do it because...
you don't have a
Mike
link
does
you
it
can
for me.
actually use.
Maybe I'll put the URL to the to what he talks about in here. URL title. So this won't take you to the blog post. It takes you to the link to what he's going to talk about. Oh boy, that was hard to get through. There's no way I can do. And the pivot tables one is going to be a lot of work.
Should I get you some wine? Would that help?
You would think. Oh, and I didn't. I need to cue this up. Come on, why is that not? Oh, split, wrong keystroke, wrong app. Actually, I need to mute that track for just a second. All right. All right, enough of me now. Let's hear a great listener review from the returning Tom-matic. Okay. Hear how that sounds. Please let me know what they are. All right, enough of me now. Let's hear a great listener review from the returning Tom-matic. Whoop, I guess I should unmute him. Tom-matic.
Hello, fellow castaways.
Let me get rid of that card that went by. Let's see if that worked. Review from the returning Tom-matic.
Hello, fellow.
You know, I'm going to re-record that. It's short enough. I can do that. Okay, enough of me. Let's listen to a great listener review from Tom-matic. Nope. One more time. Okay, enough of me. Let's listen to a great listener review from the returning Tom Maddock. Tom is blind and in a wheelchair, as I recall. Returning Tom Maddock. Really? You make the same mistake twice. Returning Tom Maddock.
Hello, fellow castaways. This is Tom here, coming to you with a cool gadget. No.
Actually, I'm going to do a little... He's got some noise on him. I'm going to add an effect, noise reduction. And...
First of all, the problem to be solved.
God, that works so good.
I just got a brand new iPhone 13 Pro. These things are expensive. We want to make sure they're safe. We don't want to drop them. Every year when I get a new phone,
Shorten that up a little bit.
Every year when I get a new phone, I get a new case. I thought this year I'd try out the MagSafe clear case. After all, you're getting a shiny new iPhone, you want to show it off. If it's in a regular case, you're not going to be able to see it too well.
He's got some long gaps.
I didn't know that case was going to be very, very, very slippery.
I just wanted you guys to hear that part. He threw it on the ground for the review. That was good. Let's see.
And stay subscribed.
Why is it selecting there? Let's see. Maybe like that.
And stay subscribed.
I had to cut him off a little bit. All right.
And stay subscribed.
Well, thanks for that, Tom. That was fantastic. I especially like that you threw your phone on the floor just for the comedy there. That was great. You know, I've talked to a lot of people who swear by pop sockets, but it seems so ungainly to have a dedicated case for it. Or I think back in the old days, you had to actually stick it to your phone and you couldn't take it off. With the MagSafe version, you can have it on when you want it and take it off easily when you don't. Now, the link Tom sent to the Amazon to purchase the pop socket with MagSafe shows that you can get it in a tasteful black, gold Lutz marble, or opal that's kind of psychedelic for $30. If you want to get a little bit fancier, they even have a MagSafe pop socket wallet for $40. Now, it says in stock soon, so it looks like these are a hot item. I really appreciate the review, Tom, and the reminder for people to stay subscribed. All right, I'm definitely going to take, even though it's super timely, the exciting news of Apple numbers, I'm going to take it out. I am just not up to it. I think I'm getting another cold. If I lose my voice again, I'm going to be mad. 8:57. Okay, so don't forget it next time. Oh, I got to take that out. Take it out of the title. Oh, I got to take it out. Hang on, I got to take it out 3 places. Got to take it out. A feeder. Did you do a test, Steve, of what were we just talking about? Guns? Looking up guns?
No. I was busy
your
producing.
Machine's pretty stressed, right?
Yep.
Probably not the best idea. Okay, I think that's clean. Okay, just wanted to do that while I was remembering it. Okay.
Which one are you pulling out? Pivot tables?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's long. It's 3,900 words, and I'm at 25 minutes. And I got a security bits this week. This will take peanut butter cures a cold. How about peanut butter whiskey, Ed?
Yeah, right.
Ed brought us some peanut butter whiskey. That's what I should have been drinking tonight. All
There's
right,
still time. The evening's young, as they say.
I'm going to spam now. This week's superhero of the Podfeed podcast is Christian Holscher. Now, he's been a longtime contributor to the podcast through Patreon, and but this week, because I was ad-libbing and it was so good. Try it one more time. This week's superhero of the Podfeed podcast is Christian Holscher. Now, he's been a longtime contributor to the show, but if my ciphering is correct on the unit conversions from euros to dollars and the max monthly pledge options, I think he doubled his support through Patreon. If I'm wrong about those calculations, he's still a hero because he's been a supporter for so long. Now, you too can be a hero like Christian and get your name up in lights on the podcast by going to podfeed.com/Patreon and pledging an amount that shows your appreciation for the work we do here. Thank you so much, Christian. You rock. Boy, am I glad I decided to...
Lights?
Yes.
Get your name up in lights?
Come on, somebody's going to... Let's do the countdown until somebody comes up with a GIF on that.
Yeah. We need it because then it'll be in the.
Is it going to be Jason
video.
or Al? No, Al left.
Al's gone. Yeah.
Jason, you're off your game. I would have thought that he's done that.
This may be like a second level GIF that he's got to find. This may not be easily repeat.
Okay, so now here's a question.
He needs you to repeat what you want the GIF for. Someone's
up in
name
lights.
up in lights. Name in lights.
Yeah.
Someone's name in lights. Maybe a big,
Verso's here? When did Verso show up? Hi.
Hey there.
You missed roll call. Okay. Oh wait, here, listen.
Blink.
There we go.
Did you hear it, Steve?
I want to see it.
Did you hear it?
Blink.
Nice.
Nice plinking. Okay, so now we need to do something tricky here. Option T, there we go, and Option T. I have to find. We're going to have some math coming up. By the way, my next app is going to be an app that adds and subtracts time. But until I get that app written, you guys are in charge of helping me add time together. So in a moment, I'm going to ask you to find me whatever time I tell you, you're going to have to add 8 minutes and 53 seconds into it. Are you guys ready? 1 and 1 is 3. That's nice. Security bits. The problem to solve is that I was talking to Bart and I went like that. So there's a massive mic bump at 8 minutes and 53 seconds in, and you guys have to help me find it. All right. I think this is going to be about right. All right, let's listen. I've got a chapter mark. I've hit save. Let's listen to the transition. You rock. Well, it's that time of the week. Too soon.
A little fast.
Well, it's that time of the week again. It's time for Security Bits with Bart Bouchat's doing it a day early for me. Thank you so much, Bart, for accommodating my continuing needs to see my grandchildren.
Hey, always happy to help, helping people see family in these particular 2 years, that's worth something. So I do my best to oblige because I think it's so important.
It absolutely is. Okay, so 2507. Oh, there's an 8 in this. I'm bad at 8s. 2507 plus 853. Ooh, that might be an even number. 28 and 25 and 8. Would that be 33?
Sounds like 34 to me.
34? Oh, Sandy's got it. Okay, good. 34 minutes. Maybe that was a softball.
Yeah, it's the 0753 combo that makes it a little easier.
Lucky.
You don't have to carry. Well,
no,
you can carry an even number.
But it had an 8 in it. You know how I am about 8s.
Yeah, 8s are tough.
Oh, I think I can see it.
Of iOS and the bar
There.
That's well done.
Do you see it
can
right
edit
there?
that. Yeah, that was well.
versions of iOS and the bar seems to be
Classic mic bump.
Yeah. All right. There we go. That's all I had to do.
Problem solved.
Go to the end.
Boom.
Yep.
Are you going to the end?
Good thing I wrote it down instantly. Right when I did it, I wrote it. A lot of times I wait like a half a minute or something. So,
tell everyone to stay patched so they stay secure.
wow, this show is an hour and 21 minutes long. I don't think I needed more
No.
More material.
No.
Plus, it makes next week more fun. I can program more. Or some. All right. Winding us out. Here we go. Well, that is going to wind us up for this week. Don't forget to send in your dumb questions. Everything is fiddly recordings, comments, and suggestions by emailing me at allison@podfeed.com. And you can follow me on Twitter @podfeed. Remember, everything good starts with podfeed.com. You want to be cool like Christian? Go to podfeed.com/Patreon and go pick an amount you can afford to support the shows. If you don't want to do a continuing contribution, you can go to podfeed.com/PayPal and do a one-time donation. Or if you want to join the community and get involved, like we're going to get people involved in our Slack even more in our Programming by Stealth portion of Slack, you can go to podfeed.com/Slack and join the conversation. Or talk to Sandy and what's his name? L. Butler. Talk to them about using live text. You can do that at podfeed.com/Slack. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific times. Okay, for the love of Pete, 5 p.m. Pacific times? I need to stop talking. Jeez.
Red wine stat.
And if you want to... L. Butler. I can never remember what L stands for. I wrote it down in the show notes.
It's like it's the in Spanish. It's the butler.
The butler. L. Butler. And if you want to join in the fun of the live show, head on over to podfeed.com/live on Sunday nights at 5 p.m. Pacific time and join the friendly and enthusiastic NosillaCastaways. Thanks for listening and stay subscribed. Jeez. That was rough. I don't know why it was so hard tonight. Being with grandchildren is exhausting, by the way. We love them dearly, and it was awesome, and we had so much fun, but man.
A lot of energy. Now I know why people have kids when they're younger. And it's...
Sienna is adorable and hilarious, and oh my gosh, she just tears into everything and just runs around. She's like...
She never stops unless she's sleeping.
Oh. Yeah, she slept for 3.5 hours, so that helped. But
yeah, and that's just a nap.
Exhausting. Let me check the sound here. Listening and stay subscribed. Now you understand why, as much as I love my grands, I never wanted to be their main babysitter. Oh yeah, we live far enough away they can't make us. Bye, Rick.
Thanks, Rick.
I knew a woman whose daughter had triplets, and she lived close enough to help. And so every weekend, after working all week long, she would go to their house and take care of the kids all weekend because the parents were exhausted, and they started treating her like the help and like complaining about how she was taking care of them and complaining if the house wasn't clean. She ended up walking away from her family. I mean, she had to. She was pretty old too. I think she was in her 70s. Not the 70s old, Sandy, but like she was still working full time and doing that all weekend. I don't know if she ever
and getting complaints for her.
Yeah, when she quit, they were furious with her.
That's sad.
Your in-laws moved closer to help with the twins when they were little. Wow. Not me. I'll tell you a little story. When we took Lindsay and Nolan and Forbes to Hawaii with us, and I purposely booked us in first class and them in steerage so that I wouldn't have to help with Forbes. Lindsay got the jump on me, though. She paid the Delta and changed her tickets to first class so that I would have to help. Yeah, I'm not the good grandma. The other grandma's good, man. They've got a great their other grandmother, Grammy. She's phenomenal. She takes care of them all the time. Not me. Yep. All right. Well, I'm exporting now, and I think I'm gonna let the class go early. How's that sound, kids?
I think that's a good plan.
All right, everybody. Thanks for coming. If Rose is... I never talked to Rose, but you guys said she was here, so I'm going to kiss her goodbye. Goodbye,